My nose is so itchy. Ugh. These gloves are velvety smooth. Okay, welcome back YouTube to episode 3, or part 3 of bike rebuild. So, I have parts. So that's the goal today, is to install some of these parts, which is going to be like 2 seconds. It's going to be basically the opposite of what you saw before. So if you haven't seen that before, click up that way. And yeah, that's the previous episode. Thanks for watching. Today's goal is to throw some of these new parts on, which will be like that. Then put the gaskets on for the oil pan and the clutch. And then flip the bike over, or the engine over rather, and then pull the valve covers off and check the valve adjustments. That's what we're after today. So, and once we do that, we're going to order some more parts and wait some more. YouTube, if you didn't watch my previous video, it involved me taking these forks out. I just threw these suckers back in there, and all I got to do is tighten these suckers back down again. It's going to be the quickest part of this video. As I mentioned before, if anybody has questions about how I did this, just leave them down in the comments below, and I'll try and answer some questions. I'm trying to keep the boring crap out of this, because some of this is just me tightening the screw. It's not that fun. Step. There we go. She's tight now. Now that she's tight, we can tighten this main fork. Main fork's in, main drum's in.
If you had a chisel, it's working.
There you go. Just got to keep her from backing out, that's all. Now I'm just going to fold these two little winglets up to grab that bolt. Keep that one from coming out. So gasketing things is relatively controversial, because a lot of people think you need to use that RTV crap or whatever it's called. But in all honesty, that stuff, if you have a gasket, you don't want to put a gasket maker when you actually have a gasket. You want to put a sealant on. And I read some reviews, and I'm using Permatex Aviation Forma Gasket Sealant Liquid. So this is not to make a gasket, this is to seal a gasket. Even though it says Forma Gasket. I know it's kind of weird, counterintuitive, but that's what it is. Always read the instructions. So you just brush it on. How hard is that? So this says brush and apply a thin layer to the parts and let dry for a couple minutes, or whatever. The RTV stuff where you gotta like beat it up or whatever. The danger with that is that when you do beat it up, it's like it dries hard, like it hardens after you like thickens up, and many times it seeps down in the engine bay or whatever, and it gets in all the parts and in the bearing races, and it can ruin you that way. But this doesn't dry hard like that. This is just to help the gasket that's there seal better. So this won't ruin the crankcase and everything like that. Alright, she's already getting thick, so we're going to actually throw the gasket on. And try and line up the hose. What? The beauty about doing this kind of stuff, YouTube, is that you never know what we're going to have to deal with. Because I could screw something up totally and completely, and we're going to have to go chase it down. And you guys get to go along for the ride. And then all the commenters, all the trolls can comment and tell me how horrible of a job I did. So, funny story, YouTube. There's a reason why I really didn't have to do all this work that I've done. I guess I should take the time to describe it now. But I had a broken shifter lever, and that's what masked the issue, or at least I thought I had an issue, but really that's all it was. So my broken shifter lever would, the splines were stripped off. So every time I would shift gears, the broken shifter lever would spin. And I couldn't get it into gear. So I thought I fixed that, and I tried to shift it through my gears, and I couldn't. And it just seemed like I couldn't get into second at all. And then I panicked, still couldn't get into second. So time went by, me thinking it through, took it apart, took this thing apart, and I still couldn't get into second gear. So I'm thinking, man, I probably have a bent shifter fork, which is just weird, but that's probably what happened. So that's why I split it, or at least open up the oil pan. What really was the issue was that this bike has what's called a positive neutral finder. So that means when the bike is not moving at all, the front sprocket isn't moving at all, the bike cannot go into second gear. It's kind of cool because there's this little ball bearing in the back side of the transmission shaft that needs to have some kind of centrifugal force thrown on it, acted upon it, so that you can get into second gear. So without that rear sprocket, or I guess front sprocket, rear transmission core spinning, you can't get into second gear. And all that to say is none of this really had to happen. But it's good that I did, because I'm replacing stuff that could have gone bad in the future. That's all. I feel like an idiot, but I was told several times about this thing, but because of the way I thought I diagnosed it, I thought that that was already ruled out. Turns out I'm the schmuck. Throw this guy back in. Beautiful. Look at that. She's back together. Ish. Time to put the clutch cover back on. We're going to do the same thing with the goopity goop and the gaskety gasket and the goopity goop and then the plate cover. And then we're done. Thank you. So, all I need to do now is take the valve covers off and do some checkers, and you guys will see me next time when I put all that stuff back together and show you how the process is of measuring your shims and stuff like that. That's if I need to do it on this bike. So, stay tuned for the next video. Thanks for watching the update. I know it's a short video, but anyways, stay tuned to subscribe. Peace. And if you haven't watched that, click up that way. No, don't do that. It's stupid.